both myself and Holiness Dr. Maharaj, and also Sri Prahlad, and his good wife, Rukmini Priya. We're all very happy to be back with Notre Dame after a long absence. And I hope that we don't have to stay away so long again. That we can have more frequent visits to this very beautiful New Brajadam. Actually, in many ways, we consider New Brajadam to be our home. There's several reasons for this. The first and foremost reason is that it's the home of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Shri Radha Sundar. Sri Rupa Goswami mentions in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu one of the distinguishing characteristics of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even over and above Lord Narayan, is that Lord Krishna is always surrounded by his loving devotees. Prabhupada has said that you'll never see a picture, a bona fide or authorized picture of Krishna alone. Because the absolute truth means Krishna, his devotees, and the process of devotional service. Actually, we exist because Krishna expanded himself as the living entities for the purpose of transcendental enjoyment. Krishna is always surrounded by his loving devotees. So because Shri Shri Radha Sundar have manifested here in this particular spot in Hungary, then naturally the devotees, the loving devotees, are swarming around them just like bumblebees. Engaged in their transcendental loving service. And we would like to think of ourselves as one of those bumblebees taking the nectar from the lotus feet of Shri Radha Sundar. So in that sense, we always think of New Brajadam as our home. I think one of the symptoms that one's maybe making a little progress in Krishna consciousness is that he or she starts to feel homesick for one of Krishna's places of pastimes. We have some guests visiting our Polish festival tour, which we're just in the middle of. They're from South Africa. There are 4 Indian girls and they're dancing on our tour. And they've been with us for a couple of days. And yesterday I went to them and I spoke and I said, "So, is everything okay?" And they said, "Yeah, but we're feeling a little homesick for Durban, South Africa." And I could see how much they were actually missing their mother, their father, their friends, their school, the city, Durban. And my first thought was, I felt a little sorry for them maybe. But then Krishna gave me one transcendental thought. The Super Soul is always trying to encourage us in devotional service. So I remember the verse of Srila Rupa Goswami. He was praying that as young boys are attracted to young girls, And young girls are attracted to young boys with the same intensity, my dear love, my dear Lord. Let me be attracted to your lotus feet.
Imádkozott felé, hogy fiatal fiúk vonzódnak a fiatal lányokhoz, és ahogy fiatal lányok vonzódnak a fiatal fiúkhoz, ugyanilyen intenzitással Úrral vagy vonzódnak a te lótuszlábathoz.
So when we feel some attachment to, or we feel some separation from Krishna, or Krishna's devotees, or Krishna's places of pastimes, or Krishna's holy name, Namah Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, all these things are absolute, they're Krishna. If we feel some attachment to them, beginning, or we feel some separation from them, then we can know we're beginning to make progress in the path of devotional service. So sometimes in the midst of our busy schedule, our busy preaching schedule, especially, right now we're in Poland, sometimes there's a little moment and we just think about different places. And, when I think of New Brajadam, there's some feeling of separation there. So I thought, well, maybe after 32 years, I'm making a little bit of progress in Krishna consciousness because I'm actually hankering and feeling separation from Radhashama Sundar and Srila Prabhupada and the beautiful temple and the devotees and the disciples. I'm thinking, wow, maybe I'm making a little progress. And I know when I leave in a few days, I'll have that kind of sinking feeling you get in your stomach. Like, remember when you were a kid, you used to go on vacation, summer vacation, to the big lake. You lived in Budapest and you came down with all your friends, you were 8 or 9 years old, and you had 2 weeks vacation at the lake, and you had to go home. Oh, I have to go back home, I'm going to miss all my friends, and swimming in the lake in the summer, you get this kind of sinking feeling, oh, it's over now, I have to go. Actually, these are the natural feelings of the soul, hankering for Krishna's association and feeling Krishna's separation when we're away from Him. These are perverted in the material world. We hanker for and we feel separation from material things. But by Prabhupada's mercy, it's gradually being all turned around. So we think of New Brajadam as a home because Radha and Krishna are here. And also, our father is here, Srila Prabhupada. When you think of your mother or father, you think of them sitting at home. So this is one of Prabhupada's many residences around the world. It's his strong, very, very strong desire that such communities become manifest on this European continent. I remember in 1974 when we first got our new Mayapur farming community. Srila Prabhupada he so much wanted a big farming community in Europe that he came to France and he personally drove all over the country in one of our old cars looking at different pieces of property which we could purchase as an ISKCON farm. This is how much Prabhupada wanted a farming community in Europe. He drove all around the country for 4 or 5 days, visiting the real estate people and going and looking at the farms and the buildings. There's that famous picture of Srila Prabhupada which you see on the cover of the English Science of Self-Realization. There's many copies. Prabhupada's like, he has his charan, he's looking up at the sky. You know that picture? That was taken in France. We stopped for a few hours to take prasadam, and then Prabhupada posed for that photograph. So finally the new Mayapur property was acquired. Actually, Prabhupada wasn't there when we acquired that property. He came next year. And I remember when Prabhupada was driving up the road coming into the property. It was kind of a dark and drizzly day, it was raining. But I remember seeing Prabhupada drive up the driveway, it was just like the brilliant sun was rising in the midst of this rainy day. Prabhupada had this big smile on his face, and he got out of the car and he looked at this big chateau, this French chateau, and all the beautiful gardens, and he just beamed and smiled and walked into the temple room. We had a beautiful marble vyasasana that we'd made for him. He sat down on the vyasasana, he just smiled. He was so happy to have this new Mayapur community. So he began speaking, and in his lecture he told us, he said, if we had 5 properties like New Mayapur, he said we would take over all of Europe. The Krishna conscious movement would conquer Europe if we had 5 properties like New Mayapur. So he so much wanted these type of communities. So he's present here in his Archa Vigraha, and he's particularly present here in the form of his desire. And those of you who are living here and are serving the desire of Srila Prabhupada, you're very intimately connected with his divine grace. And if you work very hard to develop this community, you'll get his full blessings, because this is exactly what he wanted. And as we know, pleasing the spiritual master is the success of a devotee in Krishna consciousness. Of course, Prabhupada wanted many things. When he went to New York, he said, the most important thing in Krishna consciousness is this deity worship. So therefore, go on worshipping Radha Govinda to perfection. And when he went to Dallas, Texas, he said, the most important thing is our Gurukul, so train these children very nicely in Krishna consciousness. And when he went to Los Angeles, he said, the most important thing in Krishna consciousness is this book distribution. So go on distributing these books to every town and village. Every house should have a set of books. And when he was in India speaking to Lokanath Maharaj, he said, the most important thing in our movement is this padayatra. By this padayatra, we'll conquer all of India, village to village with the bullocks. So what was the meaning of all this? Prabhupada said each of these programs was the most important. But they're all important because they're all part of the Sankirtan movement. They're all essential ingredients in the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without any one of those ingredients, the formula would not be perfect. So therefore Prabhupada was right. It's so important. Imagine a cake without the flour, without the milk, without the butter, without the sugar. What would a cake be without the sugar? Here's some yummy cookies, right? If there's no sugar, watch out. So everything is essential. Everything's most important in this cookie. So the Sankirtan movement is composed of many different projects which all together make the congregational chanting of the holy names. And by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, each and every member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is bestowed upon them a particular service which they should take as their very life and soul. Their very life and soul. Prabhu Datta Desh means that's your place of preaching, that is your life and soul. Just like Mahaprabhu, he sent Lord Nityananda to preach in Bengal. He sent Shamananda Prabhu to preach in Orissa. He sent Narottam Das Thakur to preach in Manipur. That was their Prabhu Datta Desh. So somehow or other, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have all been blessed to serve Srila Prabhupada's desire at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar. So this is Prabhupada's home, New Brajadam. Therefore, we consider our home as well. We also think of it as our home because our friends are here. Right? Our friends are here. Our closest friends in Krishna consciousness. This project is very dear to them. Shivaram Swami, Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj, he loves this project. Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj. Everybody has a close circle of friends. You may be nice to everybody, but generally in this world, you just have, 5 or 10 people who you're really, really close to. So naturally, the way of life is you want to be with your friends, you want to play with your friends. Right? So we want to come home to play with our friends. I was listening to a BBC news broadcast today, and they were interviewing young children who were taken out of Kosovo during the war and placed in homes in England. And the British government gave those children everything. Many of them had lost their parents, they were orphans. They gave them parents, they gave them clothes, medicine, food, toys, they gave them school. So they were interviewing them, the BBC was interviewing the children. So how do you feel? How do you like it here? And they're all saying, oh, it's okay, but really I want to go home. And the newscaster was saying, yes, but they're still fighting in Kosovo, it's very dangerous, there's food shortages, there's mines, and why do you want to go home? And almost all the boys and girls, they said, because that's where my friends are, I want to be with my friends. So actually a devotee in this world, he can tolerate any situation. He can tolerate heaven, because heaven, you also have to tolerate it. It's not a very tasteful place for devotees. Material opulence, devotees are detached from that. And sometimes we have to go to hellish situations to preach Krishna consciousness. But we've all experienced in Krishna consciousness, we can tolerate the most unbelievable austerities as long as we have good association.
De tudjuk, hogy a leghihetetlenebb elmondás is el tudjuk ismerni, hogyha jó társulásban vagyunk.
And that association is what we really hanker for in Krishna consciousness.
És ez a társulás az, amire igazán vágyunk a situlóban.
It makes us supremely happy in this world of birth and death.
És az végtelenül boldogá tesz bennünket a születés és halál pillanatban.
Sadhu sangha sarvashashta koi lavamata sadhu sangha sarvasiddhi hoy. Just one moment's association with the devotee of the Lord guarantees one he will take up the path of perfection. So we think of New Brajadam, we think of Shivaram Maharaj. I mean, at least this is how I think. Whenever I'm here, Shivaram Maharaj, Govinda Maharaj, Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj, Sri Prahlad. These are our close friends in Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, let's go home and, associate with our friends and speak about Krishna, have kirtan, take prasad together. That's what we do here. And we also think of New Brajadam as our home because of our disciples here. Not only disciples, but all the devotees, all the well-wishers, whose loving sentiments, whose prayers have dragged us 1,400 kilometers today in a 15-hour ride in our car. And also because we have Nrsinga Bhavan. Of course, I heard Nrsinga Bhavan's in uppercut form right now. It's not manifested. Somebody took the roof off. So it's kind of in an unmanifest form right now. I guess we'll have to feel a little separation from the Nrsinga Bhavan.
Great view of the sky. Great view of the sky.
Great view of the sky, right? So although sannyasis are not supposed to have any material possessions, I think it's okay if they have a little bhajan kutir. So the other day somebody asked me, I forget where I was, in London or something. He said, "Hey Maharaj, I heard you have a little bhajan kutir, a new Brajadam, Nrsinga Bhavan. How does Nrsinga Bhavan fit into Vrindavan Leela? Brajadam, you got Nrsinga Bhavan and New Brajadam. It's a bit rasa, what's it called? Rasa basa. So I had to do some quick thinking. I said, no, that's not true. Because the Nrsinga deity is the worshipable deity in Nanda Maharaj's house. So if we've got Nanda Maharaj worshipping the Nrsinga deity, we can have Nrsinga Bhavan in New Brajadam. I said, actually, in Rupa Goswami's Padyavali, there's many beautiful prayers. That's his personal verse book, actually. Padyavali is his personal verse book. All the verses he liked the most, he wrote down, and that's called Padyavali. There's a couple of verses there which take the form of kind of like a very, very short story. And there it's described that when Krishna is taking rest at night and Mama Yasoda, she comes and she sits down, and like other children, he's the supreme child, but to put children to sleep, sometimes you read them bedtime stories. So sometimes Mother Yasoda reads the story of Lord Nrsingadev's appearance and how he killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. And she's narrating, it's a very, horrendous story. He appears from the pillar, and he's roaring, and his hot claws are tearing into the demon, pulling out his intestines, and Mother Yasoda's, trembling as she reads it, and little baby Krishna's smiling, and he goes off to sleep, hearing about his own glories. So actually by living here, we're living in the spiritual world. And we're fulfilling one of the 5 instructions of Srila Rupa Goswami. To chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to worship the deity of the Lord, to associate with Vaishnavas, and to live in a holy place like Vrindavan or Mathura. And Sri Rupa Goswami has described, it's quite amazing, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says that if one develops even a slight, small attachment to any one of these 5 principles, such a very slight attachment can bring forth ecstatic symptoms even in a neophyte devotee. This is called mercy. These 5 activities are so potent that even if one is a neophyte devotee, which means still pretty covered, if you develop a slight attachment for any one of these 5 activities, then you can arouse ecstatic symptoms within your heart. Just like the Tota Gopinath deity in Jagannath Puri. That deity was discovered by the hand of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it was worshipped for many years by Sri Gadadhar. And that's the very deity that Lord Chaitanya entered into when he gave up his manifest pastimes. Very special deity for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And another amazing feature about that deity is it's stated that that deity is so merciful that if he wants, he can bestow prem bhakti in 1 second upon a sadhaka, an aspiring devotee. I know many times I've been to Jagannath Puri with Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj, Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj, and Shivaram Maharaj, and that's always one of our favorite places. We go and just chant and dance in front of that deity, hoping that we'll get some bhakti. But in a similar way, just living in a community like this with beautiful Radha Krishna deities and cows and Srila Prabhupada and Kirtan, one has the opportunity as a sadhaka, as a neophyte devotee, if we get a little attachment for New Brajadam, we can experience some ecstatic symptoms. Once in a while we get a little glimpse like that in the middle of a really ecstatic kirtan or a nice class, or when we see the cows, giving milk on a morning, or just once in a while, right, we kind of come out of this cloud of our neophyte nature, we get a little glimpse. Wow, Krishna consciousness is so wonderful. So you should all consider yourselves very, very fortunate that you have the opportunity to develop some ecstatic symptoms by living with New Brajadam. How did Prabhupada consider these type of communities? there's several letters which he wrote to Kirtananda Swami where he said, you should consider the New Vrindavan, which was our first Krishna conscious farming community, you should consider it as non-different than Vrindavan in India. He said. So just like one who's living in Vrindavan, he can pray to the Dham, please reveal yourself to me, please reveal Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar to these conditioned eyes which are covered by desires of sense gratification. Actually, we hear about this technique of playing to the Dham in one of Rupa Goswami's most famous books. He wrote one book called Utkalika Valari. This Utkalika Valari was actually his very last book. And it has been said that just like the swan, before the swan passes away, she sings her most enchanting song. I have not seen, but I've heard that when swans, they sometimes make their noises, they're cooing, they're singing like that. So when a swan is passing away, she makes her most dearest, heartfelt song to the other swans and so forth. So this was Rupa Goswami's very last work, Utkalika Valari. So it is said that he poured his whole heart into this one work. In which he's praying in the mood of a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So in the very first shloka of Utkalika Valari, Sri Rupa Goswami, he prays to Vrindavan Dham. He begins the book by praying, my dear Sri Vrindavan Dham, you are non-different than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please reveal to my eyes the transcendental Leela of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. Please reveal to my eyes the transcendental Leela of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. So we can also pray like that here at New Brajana. This wonderful project which is non-different desire of Srila Prabhupada. Please reveal to us the real glories of Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar. Why can we do that? Because we're Rupanugas. Prabhupada said anyone who studies this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this nectar of devotion, and follows the instructions therein, practically speaking, he's a follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. He's a Rupanuga. And if you follow in the footsteps of such an exalted personality under the guidance of your spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, then by his grace, these things will all be revealed. Rupa Goswami is Tattvadarshini. He's actually seen the truth. Therefore, he's qualified to give us the truth. Tadvidi paripatena pariprashana sevaya upadekshanti teginam gyaninas tattvadarshanaha. Just try to learn these type of truths by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service to him. The self-realized souls can reveal the truth to you because they are tattvadarshini. They have themselves seen the truth. All the pastimes of Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar have been witnessed and not only witnessed, Shri Rupa Goswami has participated in those pastimes, so he knows them very well. In this world he participated in those pastimes as Sri Rupa Goswami in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. And in the spiritual sky, he's participating in that Leela of Radha and Krishna as Rupa Manjari. So he knows these things well. He's capable of teaching us how to come to that stage. Therefore, Prabhupada said, Nectar of Devotion should be the law book of ISKCON. And Prabhupada said we should know these books, in particular Nectar of Devotion, just like a lawyer knows all the books, so when he gets to the courtroom, he can be victorious. So we should know the books, we should know Nectar of Devotion very, very well, so we can actually follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. They're not stories for him, they're lila. Just like in his eternally liberated form as Rupa Manjari. One time, at the far corner of Govardhan Hill, there's a temple of Durga there. Near a place called Rasastali. And one time, Chandravali, she went there to, seemingly offer her prayers to Mother Durga. Actually, there was a secret plan to meet Krishna inside the temple. So her elders got wind of this, that she's going to the temple and we better go see what's happening. And sure enough, as she was in the temple, her superior saw that Krishna snuck into the temple with Chandravali. So they said, now we've just been hearing about this, we've never actually seen it, but now we know Krishna is meeting this young girl secretly in these secret places. We could never really be sure, but now we're sure, so they rushed into the temple. But of course, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's omnipotent, he's omnipresent. He knew they were coming, so he hid behind the deity. So when all of Chandravali's superiors came in, they started chastening. We know Krishna's in here. You've been meeting Krishna secretly. Where is he? So suddenly Krishna began speaking behind the deity as if, the deity was speaking. He said, actually, you should not chastise this chaste girl. I am the deity of this temple. I have not seen Chandravali. She has not come here. What is this nonsense?
I have not seen Krishna.
Huh?
Krishna.
I have not seen Krishna. Krishna has not come here.
Yeah, Krishna has not come here. Why are you speaking like this? Krishna has not come here. So, you should pay your obeisances to this young girl. She has not done anything wrong. So all the family members, they left. So then Krishna came out from behind the deity. Meanwhile, at Radhakund, Radharani and Lalita and Vishaka and all the Manjaris, they're waiting. Krishna was supposed to come for a meeting there as well, and he's a little late. So the girls were getting quite angry. That's the particular mood of those gopis, they become quite angry. So, Lalita and Vishaka, they said, we can't wait for Krishna any longer. Somebody has to go find out where he is and bring him here immediately. So who did they choose? Rupa Manjari. So Rupa Manjari left that association at Radhakund. She began searching, and due to her purity and her deep Krishna consciousness, she found out where Krishna was. She entered into the Durga temple and she saw Chandravali and Krishna there. She said, Krishna, you have to leave immediately. Don't you know there's a great demon who's attacking all the Brajabasis out there at Radhakund? They're going to give up their lives in a few moments. You must leave immediately and go there. So Krishna said to Chandravali, I must leave immediately. I'm sorry, I have to go. My devotees are meeting me. Of course, the inner meaning is what the demon meaning. The devotees are feeling Krishna's separation. Feeling that separation, they're about to give up their lives. Now, all the way back to Radhakund, Rupa Manjari was chastising Krishna. You are such a rascal. You are associating with Chandravali while Radharani is waiting for you. Do you know how upset Radharani is going to be when I tell her? She's going to be so angry at you. So just before they got to Radhakund, Krishna just couldn't take anymore. He fell on his knees and folded his hands and said, please, Rupa Manjari, please don't tell Radharani I was with Chandravali. Tell her anything, but don't tell her I was with Chandravali. Please, you promise, you have to promise, please, please, please. So the Acharyas have commented on this pastime. That Srimati Radharani, she is Vrindavaneshwari because she has the power to even control Krishna. But actually her followers, the Manjaris, in one sense they're even more powerful because they can bring Krishna to his knees. And the most powerful, the most pure of all those Manjaris is Rupa Manjari. And she appeared as Rupa Goswami. And he wrote the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada translated as Nectar of Devotion. And if we follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, we can achieve these wonderful pastimes in the spiritual world. And one of his instructions, one of his most important instructions, is to live in a holy place like Mathura, Vrindavan, where Krishna's pastimes are taking place. And if we develop a slight attachment for these places, we can feel ecstatic beginning, some beginning of ecstatic symptoms of love of God. Of course, the problem is due to our neophyte nature, we may take this opportunity for granted. That's the only danger. Just like Prabhupada has warned us that in going to Vrindavan, an advanced devotee can stay in Vrindavan all the time and get supreme benefit. But a neophyte devotee who's not yet so Krishna conscious, it's recommended he just goes for a short stay. One time Prabhupada said maybe even just 3 days or a couple of weeks or a month, just because the neophyte nature is, you may begin to take it for granted. We may think, just like in Vrindavan, Prabhupada has said that Vrindavan is one of the hottest places in the summer and one of the coldest places in the winter. It sounds like New Brajadam. It's one of the hottest places in the summer, at least it's supposed to be. and it's one of the coldest places in the winter.
És ugye egy leghidegebb hely télen.
So someone said to Prabhupada, a disciple said, Prabhupada, if Vrindavan is a spiritual world, why is it so hot in the summertime and so cold in the winter?
Akkor valamikor mondta Prabhupád, hogyha mindenben a legvilág, akkor miért olyan meleg nyáron és meleg télen?
And Prabhupada just laughed. He said, yes, this is Krishna's plan to keep the Mayavadis away from here. So we shouldn't be reluctant to live in a place that's sometimes a little hot or sometimes a little cold if it's actually a place of Krishna's pastimes. Actually, we welcome the Mayavadis here. So we welcome the Mayavadis, the students, the false logicians, the sense gratifiers, all those type of people, because they can all be captured by Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Actually, this project is actually a preaching project. And Shiva Maharaj has very nicely developed a farming community, but at the same time, a place of self-sufficiency, but at the same time, a place of preaching. So when the Mayavadis come here, they should be converted, just like when the Mayavadis met with Lord Chaitanya, within a moment they were all converted to Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important project. In our preaching program in Poland, we just pass through the towns with the spiritual world. Some of you have been on our festival tour. And we also have a wonderful Krishna conscious village, but it only lasts for 5 hours and then it goes to the next town. And that's very nice because we're spreading the mercy far and wide. But here you should have like a permanent festival program. It stays here all the time. People who are really sincere, when they come here, then they can come again, they can come again, they can come again and again, and be fully engaged in devotional service. So for these reasons and many more, we're happy after a long time, a year and a half, to come back home to New Brajadam. We had to squeeze it in because we have quite an intense festival program going now. We only had 3 or 4 days we could escape. But we're looking forward to recharging our batteries. That's why Prabhupada had us go to Vrindavan or Mayapur or Jagannath Puri to recharge our batteries so we can go back out on the battlefield and preach Krishna consciousness. New Brajadam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shivada Shama Sundar ki, Shri Govardhan Lala ki, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Deva ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi, Hare Hare Bo. Surendra Maharaj ki, Jai Pura Maharaj ki, Jai. No, it's just my legs are tired. Well, that says a few words. I always talk too long.
We have so much to say. The association of the devotees can never be underestimated. Sometimes because Srila Prabhupada has made it so easily available, then we have a tendency to take it cheaply. But Sanatana Goswami, he explains that out of unlimited living entities in the material world, only a very few of them are human. And of those who are human, only a very, very, very few are civilized. Right? And the definition here of civilized means following the varnashram system. So you can then cut down quite a lot. Then, those who are civilized, then very few have an interest in spiritual life. Of those who have interest in spiritual life, very few actually endeavor for it. And out of those who endeavor for it, very few achieve it. So anyone who is taking up actively spiritual life is very rare. But by Prabhupada's potency, then he is manifest, to us, so many. So we should always understand that this is very special and very unique. And we should always try to work together and associate with each other. Right, for the pleasure of Guru Krishna and the Vaishnavas. Then we can be happy. Then we can continue performing our activities, until we become perfect. Otherwise, the tendency will be to think that, okay, there's some people here, but there's so much, politics, and this one this, and that one that, and everybody else something. Right? And of course, no one understands me. And if they just do that, then everything, of course, would start turning towards perfection. And then because of this, then Maya is so expert, she'll distract us to very extremely important works. Getting lots of money, establishing ourselves a position in the material world, being respected by everybody, because the devotees don't respect so much. Getting the security and the protection that we deserve. Because Maya always provides, right? Everybody in the material world is very safe and protected. All their facilities are guaranteed. Like that means they're always respected, dealt with very nicely. Everybody understands them all perfectly by Maya's arrangement. And everything goes on so perfectly and wonderfully and, lovey-dovey and all this kind of stuff. Right? And of course, in Krishna consciousness, then you got all these people who just don't understand what's going on and who I am and how special I am, how I should get all facilities because I did some service, right?
szolgálatot.
I'm doing the service because I'm supposed to get some benefit from it, isn't that?
Szolgálatot csinálom, mert valamit kell kapnom értelem.
No one works without a motive.
Senki sem dolgozik motiváció nélkül.
So the motive must be for facility, protection, position. all these
Motiváció azt
things.
kell, hogy legyen, hogy vannak valami körülményeink, van pozíció.
I mean, these are very important things.
Tehát ezek fontos dolgok.
So important, Lord Chaitanya even wrote them into his Shastra.
Mire fontos, hogy ez úgy csinálja, hogy síksástakája megsírtól.
Dhanam, Janam, Sundari. These are why we're doing our service. So, therefore, we must appreciate when Maharaj speaks all these nice things about the devotees and all this. This is the understanding of someone who understands what is Krishna consciousness. Right? As they was pointing out, the children, they have all nice facility. They're protected better than they ever were or will be protected in where they're originally from. But more important is the association of like-minded persons. So if you're interested to go back to Godhead, then the devotees are the like-minded people to associate with. And facilities, all these other things, these are secondary. So one has to appreciate what is the essence. This is the meaning of Saragrahi devotee. Saragrahi means Sara means the essence, Grahi means one who takes. And Saragrahi, then they take the essence of what is happening. And they don't worry about, what's around it. Right? Like you're taking prasad, you worry about the prasad, you're not sitting there going, wow, what a wonderful plate. Nice tablecloth. Right? And then don't even notice the prasad. Right? But the prasad is the essence. So like that is then the association of devotees living in the Lord's place. These are the essence. With that focus, then one will be happy. Otherwise, if not, then of course, Maya is there with open arms. And you have all those nice, wonderful, loving, deep, introspective materialists with which you can associate with. And they'll definitely work very hard to see that you're protected nicely, given all facility and respect. Right? Just like has always been happening in the past. Right? It means the material world's always been great. So don't worry. If you think it's bad here, Maya is always there with her facilities. She will happily take you back and take care of you very nicely. But if one remembers a little bit, one might doubt the sincerity of the care. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Indradumna Maharaj ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, and I go with
Hari Hari Bo.
We have lots of cookies.
This is the essence. Everybody's been waiting here for the cookies. When are these guys going to be quiet?
You're our leader, what do we do now?
We can take the basket of cookies and throw it in the head. Sneak out the back door.
He prepares the prasadam, and it is in the restaurant. I'd like to.
The night's still young.
Yeah.
So the night's still young.
We have a little short kirtan? The neighbors don't mind here? That's one thing you don't have to worry about here is the neighbors, right? Just the rabbits and the squirrels. Give me that drum.